And they're on their way. So the field jump away. Contested lead early on. Red and white stripes of Tea and Chats is one of those prominent. Scamallach Liath on the outside and Grozny in the green and white as they all pop over the first. Back marker over El Paco as they race on towards the second. In the centre, Smith takes a keen hold in the red headgear with Tea and Chats. And Northern Poet as they rise at flight number 2. Scamallach Liath just jumped that out slightly out to the right. So out in the lead, it is Tea and Chats for Tom Cannon in the red and white stripes, who has an advantage over Smith in second place, and racing in third, Northern Poet in the red and yellow quarters. Titanium Bullet, the grey on the inside of Grozny. At this stage, Heaven Smart is in midfield in the pink colours as they race away with Scamallach Liath as they take the flight away from the stands. They're being followed through by Belgarum, who's 2/3 of the way back through the field early on, in company with Wang Dang Doodle. Claude Almighty is towards the back, in company as well with El Paco, as they turn at the top end of the racecourse. And as they do so, Tea and Chats it is who has the advantage, and that advantage a length and a half over Smith in second place. Titanium Bullet on the inside with Northern Poet. A length to Grozny with Heaven Smart right on that one's tail. They race 5th and 6th with Scamallach Liath, so the 3 market leaders all together over that one. Belgarum is next, just ahead of Promising Milan, and then a couple of lengths to Wang Dang Doodle, Claude Almighty, and last of all is El Paco. So Tea and Chats it is who runs downhill, has this advantage of a couple of lengths over Smith in second place in the white cap, Titanium Bullet, and between that pair, Northern Poet in the quarters, as they race towards the flight of hurdles at the foot of the hill. Heaven Smart is next, Grozny a little wider out, though not as wide as Scamallach Liath, as they jump that with Belgarum next. And amongst the back 3 or 4, we have Promising Milan. On the inside, Wang Dang Doodle, Claude Almighty in the noseband, and El Paco in the dark jacket as they turn down the side of the course. Tea and Chats it is who took it up after taking the second, and has maintained an advantage over Smith ever since. Northern Poet and Titanium Bullet corner next with Heaven Smart and Grozny the next 2, Grozny in green and white. Belgarum in the purple and yellow as they reach the first up the home straight, which Tea and Chats leads them over. And they are all over safely. Just at the back, El Paco just given a hurry up there on his hurdling debut. This is the flight and the circuit's time will be the last. Tea and Chats arrives at it first this time. Again, Scamallach Liath just tending to jump out to the right slightly. And reminders for Claude Almighty, who's now finding this a little bit hot. So Tea and Chats climbs up past us with Smith in second place on the stand side in the red headgear. Titanium Bullet is third. In fourth place and making ground is Heaven Smart as Northern Poet is just pushed along. Grozny races in sixth place ahead of Belgarum and Scamallach Liath as they take that flight of hurdles. Amongst those was Promising Milan, and then a couple of lengths back to Wang Dang Doodle, and still the 2 at the back, El Paco and Claude Almighty, are beginning to struggle. Tea and Chats then at the top end of the racecourse has this advantage, and it's just over a length from in second place races Smith. Titanium Bullet comes next. In fourth place is Northern Poet. Heaven Smart on the inside of Grozny. They remain side by side in 5th and 6th. Scamallach Liath with Promising Milan making a little bit of ground, and then Belgarum as they took that flight of hurdles, and that one was 4 from the finish. And at the back of the pack, pulling up now is El Paco, and Claude Almighty has lost touch. But El Paco is being eased down and pulled up as Tea and Chats leads the run downhill. Smith in second, Titanium Bullet. Heaven Smart on the inside of Northern Poet, Grozny, Scamallach Liath, and also Promising Milan completing this leading bunch, which number about 8 from Wang Dang Doodle. Belgarum is the latest one to have lost touch. The flight at the foot of the hills, 3 from the finish. Tea and Chats is over in the lead. A mistake by Heaven Smart on the inside there, and Heaven Smart just got knocked back in the field as they exit the back straight, and Tea and Chats leads. Titanium Bullet in second place, Smith in third. There's been very little change in the order as they make the turn for home, and a few of the big guns are receiving pretty hefty reminders now as they make the journey back towards home. And out in the lead it's Tea and Chats by 2 lengths from Northern Poet. Grozny's moved through into third. Scamallach Liath is trying to stay on into about fourth place now, and this is 2 from the finish. Tea and Chats over in the lead. Northern Poet in second place. Back in third is Grozny at the rear of the field. A bad mistake by Heaven Smart when beaten down towards the last. Tea and Chats being taken on by Northern Poet. Not too much between them over the final flight, climbing uphill for home. Tea and Chat's Northern Poet is conjuring up a challenge on the far side, gets narrowly to the lead. Northern Poet narrowly from Tea and Chat's. Northern Poet doing enough. Fine training performance off the absence from Nick Gifford. Wins for James Davies. Tea and Chat's second. Scamallach Liath was third. Grozny fourth.